Welcome to the Connectable podcast.
The Connectable podcast starts in 3, 2, 1.
Man, I was starting to think this one was not even going to happen for multiple reasons. First of all, I'm going to just give everybody a backstory before I introduce our guest. This was supposed to happen a few days ago, but a bunch of different things happened. Deb wasn't going to be able to make it. She's obviously not here today either, but she wasn't able to make it the last time. Our guest, Josh, was in crazy traffic because of an accident. And then there was craziness going on at home for me. So we had to reschedule, which we never like doing. And I think this might be the first time we've ever done it. And then today we were having a bunch of tech issues, audio issues, and then video issues. But you know what, man? We made it. Here we are.
We did it. We got it done.
And so I'm just hoping, fingers crossed. I don't even want to breathe in the microphone. Like, I want to say as few words as possible and just hope this thing doesn't start falling apart. But anyways, today's guest is a photographer and videographer, Josh Sepanski. What's going on, man?
Glad to be on here. And I just want to start off with saying I like your name. I think it's a great name.
Hey, man, you know what? I got to say, I like your name too. I'm a big fan. You know what's weird?
How do you say your last name?
Takimoto.
Takimoto. That's also a really cool name.
Thanks, man.
I like the Josh the most, but Takimoto is pretty cool too.
You might be the only one. Everybody else likes my last name more. They're like, yeah, I could do without the Josh part, but you know. In fact, my nickname it used to confuse people. My nickname when I was playing baseball was Taco, Tako. And my dad's Japanese, my mom's white. And it used to throw people because, you know, some people are like, oh, maybe he's Hispanic. So I remember when my aunt was at one of my baseball games and somebody from the stands yelled like, hey, go Taco. And the person next to him was like, I can't believe you just said that. And they're like, no, he's Japanese last name. It's not a racial thing. It's like, oh, thank God.
That's funny.
It was getting dicey at the baseball game, but
that's what, there's an NBA player named Taco.
Yeah, he's was he like 7'6"? Taco Fall?
Yep.
Huge. It's weird too, because you see certain guys out there, like you always notice the shorter guys, right? Compared to everybody else. He's one of those guys like, oh, he's way tall. He makes everybody look small. I don't even know how it's amazing that he's as athletic as he is, because it just looks incredibly difficult to move with, arms and legs that long. But
that's the crazy thing with like really, really tall athletes is like, people are like, if I was that tall, I'd be doing such and such. I'd be way more, but they got a challenge of being able to move around with that much length and that much height.
Oh, for sure. Well, it's not, I mean, really, I don't know the ins and outs of it. This would have been more Deb's lane because she's a kinesiology major, but just your joints and the way, you move your body, like there's a lot of pressure to put on your knees, your ankles when you're that tall. So yeah, no, I'm good. I'm 6 foot. I don't know how tall you are. I'm 6 foot. I'm good with that. I wanted to be 6'2" because I remember, loving Barry Bonds growing up and seeing that, on his baseball card, Barry Bonds was 6'2". I'm like, I would love to be 6'2". Didn't quite make it. If I'm wearing the right spikes or the right shoes, I'm good. But naturally, I'm just 6 foot. So,
well, I didn't make it to 6 foot. I'm like an inch and a half away from 6 foot. So at least you got there.
You're close enough, and you got the like.
I wanted to be 6'3". Oh yeah. See, this brings me up to 6 foot right here.
See, there you go. I keep mine pretty short and close, so I'm never quite there. Was there a reason for 6'3", or you just wanted to be 6'3"? It just sounded good.
I grew up playing basketball. I love basketball, and I just thought it's just like a really everyone that I know that's 6'3" is just like right at a height that I think is okay. That's a cool height. Not too tall, not too. I would never imagine myself being taller than that anyway, because it's just, my family's not that tall. So I was just hoping I get to 6'3", but
yeah, that makes sense.
5'10". We'll take
5'10". You'll take it. And it's like, you played sports. When you go to max preps, that's the first time when I was playing baseball in high school. That's the first time I realized that they amp up your stats a little bit. It's like, I'm 150 pounds. Like, oh, on my max preps chart, it says I'm 175. That's weird. I don't remember gaining 25 pounds of muscle, but there I am.
6'2" there, huh?
Yeah, that's exactly exactly right.
Max preps the only thing that will accomplish that for you. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Well, and I it didn't really matter for me because I sat the bench most of the time. So it's like, well, look at that. There's that 6'2", 175er right in the pine. So it didn't matter for me, but it did make me feel good. I should have taken a screenshot of it just to, remind myself. But so anyways, so we like to start off the show by letting people know how we're connected. And honestly, this is the first time that you and I have actually met and had a conversation. And so correct me if I'm wrong, but I know we follow each other on social media. We've been following your stuff through the Character Combine for a while. And then when we started Connectable, we started following you there as well. But I'm pretty sure the first time I saw some of your work was through, I think you did some stuff for Dwight Taylor. Is that correct? Did you do some video work or photography work at one of his events?
Yeah. I did some videography work for him back like few years ago now. I just volunteered to come in, and I liked his book that he released, so I was like, oh, let me come in and do a shoot of your book release. And he's like, oh yeah, there will be someone else there, but yeah, you're welcome to come along and check it out. And I came in there and put a little video together for him, and my video ended up being the one that he put on his social media, so I was pretty proud about that. But yeah, I actually just shot for him on another project that he's doing last Monday. Yeah, this past Monday actually. So,
oh, it's awesome. Yeah. I'm telling you, our last guest, Dr. Casey Morris, who's a former D1 basketball player from Texas Tech, and then a children's book author. He was also a connection from Dwight. So Dwight just seems to be the guy to know. He just knows everybody.
Yeah, he's very well connected. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like if we said this about, even though Dwight didn't refer you to us, the fact that he's connected with you and the fact that he's used you for, your skills and talent, that speaks volumes, man. So even though we don't know you, the fact that he, entrusted you with different projects is like, that speaks, volumes for us. It's like, well, this has got to be a dude we need to connect with at some point. So we've been following you for quite a while. So it's like, you know what? It's time to get connected on a podcast. So, we're definitely grateful that you're willing to take some time to talk to us. Like I said, Deb's not here today. She was supposed to be, and then something came up again, and she's not going to listen to this. So anybody who does listen to this podcast, don't let her know that we had technical issues, because she usually sets up the Zoom meetings, and she'll never let me hear the end of it. So if we could just all keep that here within this circle of listeners, that'd be fantastic. But anyways,
happens on Zoom stays on Zoom.
That's exactly it. That's unfortunately, that's not true. Some people have learned that the hard way. We don't need to get a bunch of fun stories.
That's another podcast. That's podcast for another day.
A different podcast where we slap the explicit label on it, but not today. So man, tell me a little bit about yourself. How you got started, where you grew up, how you got started with your photography and your videography, and how you became passionate about that.
For sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, reaching out to me. Just a little backstory about Character Combine, actually. First time I heard about them were when they came out to my high school basketball team, actually. So they came out and we were doing some intense, real intense basketball off-season training. And we were in there doing seeing how long we could do these wall sits with holding weights.
Well, and hold on. So you played for Coach Clark?
Yes.
Dude, I did
Bobby
that
Clark.
talk.
I didn't.
That's crazy.
That was you?
That was me. I almost didn't want to say anything if this is like a horrible story, then I don't know if I want to mention that.
No. It's a very it's not a horrible story at all. It's very, I guess, motivating for me. So that was you. That's right. Okay,
Crazy.
so you have a familiar face. You have a familiar face to me, and I was trying to see, maybe it's just because I watched your podcast videos and stuff. But I was like, no, there has to be something else. That's crazy. So you were the one.
Funny.
That came with Character Combine in 2014.
Yeah.
And we came into the gym and we were all doing our wall sits over there, crying about how intense our workout was that day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's funny. And you started
So
telling
that's
that
not
story,
our
I'm like,
first interaction.
this is not our, yeah, unfortunately, this one will be a lot less painful for sure. You know what's funny too? So I got that idea from someone I knew. They did it, and they did it for a lot longer. They had a lot more freedom as far as how long they could do the wall sits with that group they were mentoring. I'm like, yeah, I would love to try it, but no coach ever took me up on it. I said, hey, I got this idea. I
Bobby
would love
Clark
to do
will.
it. Bobby, first of all, so we had Bobby Clark on the Character Combine podcast. Coach Clark shredded himself. So you guys should have known that it's like, of course he's going to accept this workout. And that's funny. That's crazy, man. I didn't realize there was that connection, but yeah, you guys did awesome on that one too. In fact, I don't know the
I
dude's
was
name.
second to last. Andrew Torres was the one that got first place, but I was right there behind him. So
Nice. Okay. Well, I was gonna say Andrew. I remember there was one kid. I'm like, he didn't want to give up. I said, no. Like this, it's cool. Like you can actually give up now because
yep,
you
yeah,
guys did
that's
normal with
Andrew.
your practice. He's like, no, I'm not gonna stop. I was like, no. Like it's cool. We won't think any less of you. But you gotta stop
Yeah,
now.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep, I was the one that was behind him. I was like, you know what? I'm okay. Well, this is Andrew's the type of guy. He's super competitive. But yeah,
That's
shout out
awesome.
Coach Clark. Shout
Yeah.
out you for that day. I remember you giving us those character combine shirts, and I loved that shirt. I was really sad when I lost it like a couple of years ago.
Which one was it?
I used
What did I give you
It was
guys?
the black one with the green writing.
Always compete. That's my favorite shirt.
Always compete, and I loved. I wore that when I was like, that I kind of have these like, it's not superstition or anything. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna wear this shirt if I need a little extra, motivation that day.
Sure.
That was my go-to shirt in college when I was really trying to like gain, weight and work out a lot and be consistent with that. And those days that I'd throw that one on. And yeah, so I was very sad when I lost it a couple years ago, but yeah, that's cool. That's a nice little circle back to the high school day memory. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. I had no clue. That's so funny. Yeah, that was one of my, and no one's ever done that talk since. I've tried to get coaches to do it, and they're like, no, we're good. Just maybe come out here and talk for 10 minutes, and then we're good. So that's funny. Well, I'm gonna definitely reach out to Coach Clark after this and let him know, because I think he'll
shout out Coach Clark, man.
Yeah, he's
Can
awesome.
I tell you a real quick story about Coach Clark and our intense workouts?
Yeah, before you do, I just want to say this too. Now that I know this about you, I have another podcast that's in the works a little ways down the road. It's kind of in lieu of the Character Combine podcast. We need to connect on that one because we can talk more specifically about sports. I just want to put that out there in the universe right now, and then we'll bring this thing full circle. But anyways, yeah, please tell me your story.
For sure. Yeah, this will be just take a couple seconds, but
oh, you're good.
Yeah, Coach Clark used to have us out there. Man, he was not playing with his training. Like with that summer, 2014, we were out in on the track and the field, the football field, and we were doing bear crawls on the gravel because we didn't have like a setup, and he put us through it, man. But honestly, and we were like always complaining, and we kind of enjoyed the satisfaction of it. But now looking back, like that was one of my most memorable moments of basketball, and just to be able to always connect back with people, my teammates and stuff, and laugh about it, talk about it, and know that we got mentally stronger from it. So yeah, shout out Coach Clark. That was just a little we had blisters on our hands. He was worried about his job and stuff. He was like, oh yeah, don't be keep your palms down and stuff. So it was funny, but it was a lot of fun to look back on. So
that's awesome. Well, yeah, and I can, I remember back to you guys as a group. Like I said, obviously I don't remember individuals clearly because I had no clue that I was having you on the podcast today. But just you guys as a group, like you guys all seem to have a lot of respect for Coach Clark. And you guys, that doesn't surprise me that you have that mentality where it's like, hey, this guy is asking us to do these bear crawls on this hot ground, but like we believe in what he's trying to teach us, so we're just going to keep going. And so, I think that's like you said, it's a kind of a testament to, his influence as a coach and as a leader, which is pretty cool. But I kind of want to pivot a little bit. I wasn't planning on going this direction, but now that I know what I know, you're talking about how those moments you look back and it built up your mindset, it built up your mental toughness. As a business owner, as a creative, like, how do you feel like that those moments, those athletic moments, or those moments throughout your athletic career maybe prepared you for being a business owner, being someone who's an entrepreneur, someone who has to like really grind every single day? Like, how do you feel like your athletic background prepared you for that?
It's a good question. I think back during that time, I was really trying to find myself. I came from a very crazy situation, home situation, the extremely abusive father, and I was really just trying to find, like, as everyone is in high school, trying to find themselves. But character wise, there's a lot of different characters that I was looking at. Like, we had a lot of, obviously, the most diverse school in that area, and I was like, okay, like I felt myself kind of leaning towards like kind of imitating different characters and stuff. But then I really started to, thankfully, find some really good friends my junior and my senior year that really helped me see like who I want to be and who I want to embody and the type of, the way I want to portray myself as a young man. So basketball really helped me navigate that, as well as like other friends. But I think it directly ties into, like you said, who I want to be as a person and how I want to, I guess, how intense I want to go, and like, the goals that I want to reach. And, mental toughness is a huge part of that. And so now when I go into things, I try to, come with intensity. I try to come with, endure the process. And I think it ties together pretty well. I'm definitely trying to keep learning and growing and working on myself. But yeah, I think that start back in high school, definitely, when I was trying to find myself and everything, I think that definitely helped lead into, who I am now, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, it's awesome that you were, kind of starting off down that path in high school, because sometimes, people find that later, or have to kind of find themselves later after going through some unnecessary things. So it's cool that you started that in high school, and then it kind of grew from there. So I think that's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so anyways, like, so going back now, tell me, like, how did you get started with your business and photography and videography and all that?
Yeah, that's crazy because when I was younger, I just always loved like seeing how movies were made. That was the biggest thing for me. Like, people would, my family would be like coming into the room and be like, "Oh, you're watching, let's say, Pirates of the Caribbean. Oh, okay, cool." And then they sit down and be like, "This isn't the movie. What is this?" I'm like, "Sorry, it's the behind the scenes. I'm just trying to see how they made this scene or whatever." And so they're like, "What in the world?" And I'm like, I just loved like seeing how, I was so intrigued by, the sets and the lighting and just how people like made, movies. And so that's what kind of inspired me initially. But then in college, I really started to see, like, even just, I think it was the Sac State main page actually that kind of like first made me think of like content, because I went to Sac State. So I saw that like people that I knew were creating this cool content for Sac State, and how like kind of doable it was. I didn't really think it was that doable. I thought it was like these, giant sets with like, I would just think back to the movies that I'd watched. And so that's kind of like what I had in my mind. But I saw my friends that I know just like walking around with their camera and creating, and their drones, and creating like cool content for Sac State. And I was like, wow, this is like a very, like, seems like a very doable thing that I don't need to like, invest too much into to get started. And so, yeah, that's what started for me. I actually got a drone first. I went on Black Friday and got my drone. And then from there, I was taking, walking around with my little iPhone gimbal and taking videos and doing little projects for my PR class and my PR club. And just kind of escalated. I just started getting more and more into it. I started networking with people that were in the field, and it just really kind of helped me get going. And now it's basically what I love. And I noticed that I'm leaning more towards videography, but I definitely love photography too. It's just kind of all hand in hand.
Sure. Well, that was one of the questions I had for you too. I was curious which one you prefer, because Man, I have so many questions because I love film. I'm not creative or technical like you are. I just love this stuff. But I imagine when you watch a movie, I always like to ask people that are into film and photography and videography, is it, you probably see movies a different way, right? Like you said, when you were young, you were looking at all the behind the scenes stuff. So a couple questions. One, uh, what's your favorite movie? And then two, like, are you able to just sit back and enjoy a movie, or are you constantly breaking things down like a basketball coach or a basketball player is breaking down a play, like in film?
I can like turn that off. I feel like I can turn it off and just sit back and enjoy a movie. But it's kind of just like in the back of my mind. It's more of like, oh, I recognize that lighting technique, or oh, I see. I remember like hearing about that from like the movie behind the scenes I used to watch and stuff like that. But actually, I was watching a show with my girlfriend the other week, and it's called Mindhunter, and
Oh yeah, with
it's on
Al Pacino,
Netflix.
right?
And
Or no, wrong one.
no, it's Mindhunter is kind of like a look into like criminal minds type of show.
Got it.
Um, yeah, it's pretty good. But I was watching that show, and then I saw that they were like their white balance was kind of like, it was very green, and everything was looking very green, and it wasn't like a natural like them trying to make it look green. I felt like it was kind of off, and so I pointed that out, and she's like, I would have never even like thought of that. So that was something I just remembered because you said that. But yeah, I feel like I can turn it off. I can enjoy movies. My favorite movie, oh man, this is honestly is going to be probably surprising because it's not even like my favorite movie actually is Shark Tale.
Whoa.
And that's
right.
that's turning all that off, obviously,
Yeah,
because
sure.
it's obviously a lot of work went into that with the with the graphics and everything, but obviously
Sure.
it's not a cinematic film.
Yeah.
But that's my honestly like just my movie. I don't know why I love that so much. It always just makes me laugh, and it's awesome movie. But
Dude, the
I
biggest
love just
curveball
like,
ever. I don't think
yeah,
I've ever
I
had like
had to.
a bigger shock on this podcast. Like I was not expecting that at all. All right. Hey,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
that's
I
that's
haven't seen it,
that's
but
showing you just how much I can turn the whole cinematography off and then just enjoy movies too.
sure.
I guess
Sure.
that's an example.
Yeah, for sure.
um but yeah, I love like the big elaborate cinematic films, like and just appreciating all the things that went into them, like Lord of the Rings, and like obviously those are, I don't want to sound like corny and just pull out the bigger ones, but like the Dark Knight. I love watching the behind the scenes of the Dark Knight, how they did that.
One of my favorites.
I love like movies also where they put like a lot of time into the sets, and then like even create like miniature sets of things. Like I really appreciate like it was in the Dark Knight. It was in like the what's that movie, the Grand Hotel, the one where it's like a lot of
Oh,
pink.
it's
Um,
Wes Anderson, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, I forgot
Um,
the name of it.
something hotel. I know what you're talking about. Oh,
Yeah,
the Grand Budapest Hotel.
that's the one, Budapest
Yeah, yeah.
Hotel.
I haven't
Yes.
seen it, but people love that movie.
Yeah, it's very there's a lot of cinematic quality to it, and they like built that hotel as a miniature basically for all their like wide angle shots. And so yeah, I like I still love watching behind the scenes. I love seeing like sets and lighting and all that stuff. So I'm appreciating like the color that goes into it, and just like you could tell when a movie is like really thought out. And yeah.
Yeah, no, like I said, I love movies. I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan. Dark Knight is one of my favorite movies. I saw Tenet just a little while ago. And I don't know if you've seen Tenet. That one's wild. My brother actually texted me. He's like, "Hey man, I just watched Tenet. Uh, don't watch it before you go to bed." He's like, "It will mess you up. Like you're not gonna be able to sleep because it will mess with your mind that much." But man, all of Christopher Nolan stuff is just wild, and
Mhm.
everything from
Outside the box for sure.
oh, and yeah, just super creative. I mean, even Dunkirk, I saw that at the
Mhm.
IMAX downtown, and
Oh yeah.
I'm glad I was just actually talking to someone about this because I'm glad I did because the sets there and just the shots are so big and so wide, And just the way that story is told too, it's like, man, that guy is just, in my opinion, he just operates at a different level. But yeah, that's cool, man. It's obvious that you're passionate about this stuff too, because like, it's just a weird thing. Like I said, I like asking that question because I think so many people just watch movies and it's just like a mindless activity. It helps us escape, which I mean, I'm sure it does for you too. But at the same time, it's like you see it from a different perspective and you're looking at it like it's the same thing as someone who's really into cars, right? Like if you're really into cars, you can see a car and appreciate a car, but someone who loves cars is thinking about the engine and thinking about the mechanics and all of the like the finer details, like how the steering wheel is like the leather on the steering wheel, right? Like all of those little things. I'm not a car guy, so I don't look at it that way. So I imagine that's what people that love cars look at. But you know what I'm saying? It's just it's always interesting when people are really passionate about something. They just see things differently, and they're interested in those finer points, which is pretty cool. So, oh, sorry, I just had a thought. So you it sounds like you said you prefer videography over photography. You like both because they kind of both go hand in hand when it comes to creating content. But when it comes to photography, I mean, are you doing? I mean, especially with this being the summer. We just wrapped up with schools, all that stuff. I mean, were you pretty busy with graduation photos? Do you do weddings and stuff like that?
Yep. And even like through the pandemic, people were still having like the little COVID weddings and stuff. I was fairly busy with those as well. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, a whole bunch of I had a whole bunch of grad photos. That kind of like, I think I wrapped that up for this year. But yeah, as far as like transitioning from, looking at these big budget like cinematic films and then trying to content and videography and stuff, it's I really enjoyed like trying to bring the concepts that I see. Like I was practicing like the dolly zoom. I don't know if you know what that is, but like it's basically like the zoom in cinematic movies where like it's kind of distortion, like someone like gets hit like with a wave of like shock wave or something, and they're like it was in Jaws. It was made famous in the movie Jaws when
the Jaws shot.
Or when the guy recognizes that it's a shark and it like the camera like pulls away from him, but the surroundings pull closer. It's like that was a really bad way to describe it, but yeah,
I knew. As soon as you said, I was wondering if that's what it was because I took a film class in high school. And that's what they talked about with Jaws. They're like, I mean, it's one of the most famous shots, right? Where you see Roy Schneider, and it's that. Is it Roy Schneider? Am I confusing? Hold on.
I honestly don't really know his name, but yeah, it's just basically the one where like you pull away as the environment pulls towards you, basically.
Right. Yeah. I was worried I said Rob Schneider. I'm like, I know it's for sure not Rob Schneider. And you know what? Let's take I hate to break here, but let's take a quick break. And we're back. It sounded very official saying that we had to take a break like we had sponsors. We do not have sponsors, as you guys know. This has just been one of those episodes where like everything that could go wrong is going wrong. And it for some reason it was giving me a 10-minute warning, even though it was just me and Josh. But what can you do? We just got to keep pressing forward. Got to keep. We're
sponsored by Character Combine.
I wish. They would be very surprised if I told them that. Like, hey, by the way, you're sponsoring my other podcast. Yeah, and by the way, too, I didn't tell people this either. Just another small thing. When we hopped on, I was looking at myself in my screen, and I was wearing a different shirt. But then I realized, looking at myself, I had baby spit up all over my chest. I'm like, well, that's not going to work. For the combine podcast, we didn't do the video element. It was just audio, so I didn't have to worry about this stuff. Now with this one, it's like I actually have to worry about what shirt I'm wearing. It's like, oh, there's spit up all over my shirt. Can't do that. So I had to switch.
Show it off, man. Show you. It's be dad.
I know.
Dad.
I thought about
it. Doing your father duties.
That's right. Probably not well if it's just all over me. It's like you couldn't use a burp cloth. What's wrong with you? So anyways, okay. So we're back with Josh Sepanski. Am I saying that right? Josh Sepanski? Yeah. Perfect.
And you're one of the first people to say it right. So appreciate that.
Yeah, I get it. You know, it's crazy.
Everyone's all like Spinsky, fancy.
Hey, I get it. See, we have a lot in common. Not only do we have the first name in common, no one ever struggles with our first name. They get it wrong sometimes. They call me different names, but if they know it's Josh, they always say it right. But the last name, it sounds like we're in the same boat. Sometimes they struggle with that last name. They add
I feel
O's, they add A's, they like Tokimoto. It's like it just gets it gets crazy. But you know what? I roll with it at this point, and I'm sure you do too. It's like I've heard everything under the
heard
sun.
it all.
Surprised me. So, so let me ask you this, man. Just going in a completely different direction. I have a few more questions for you, and like I said, I know it's already late, so I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time. But I do have some more questions for you. Have you ever? So I know, like when I was younger, my family every once in a while would go like take us into Sears, or we'd go to the mall and do photography with the whole family. And our family was actually pretty good with it. But I remember like in the waiting room, you would just hear kids losing their mind, and you always have those kids photographers. Have you had to do any of that type of stuff where you've had like whole families and young kids that you have to like, hold up the baby rattle and try to distract and get the smiles, or is that not really your thing?
No, I've had to do that for grown people. That's the issue. I've had to try to over here. No.
Oh, I
No, you've
believe it.
I had a few to drink, but over here, like, yeah. No,
Yeah, like a
luckily,
wedding.
honestly,
Yeah.
my all my shot shooting, babies or whatever it is have all gone pretty well, surprisingly. But so
You have the magic touch, man.
let's not jinx that.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, no, for real though, it's been adults that I've had to do that with more than anything.
Oh, I have no doubt. I've been to a few weddings, and I know how that goes, because you have all the excitement around, and you're trying to get that shot, and then you have like Uncle Joe is looking over in the distance trying to talk to someone, wave someone down. It's like, hey
Uncle
man,
Joe.
look this way. So yeah, no, it's yeah. Well, that brings me to my next question. Like when you have to like set up a shoot, whether it's for video or for photography, like what would you say is your favorite shoot you've ever done, the best one you've ever done, and what would you say is the most challenging shoot you've ever done, where it's like just like this podcast tonight, everything that keeps going, like could go wrong, went wrong, and you just had to keep kind of scrambling and grinding it out?
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to be the same one actually.
Okay.
So I was shooting content for my friend's clothing line that he's starting up.
Oh, cool.
And we wanted to be a little elaborate with it. He wanted to have like an older car. His brand is kind of like vintage. His brand is like leaning towards like vintage and classy vintage, I'd say.
Sure.
So we wanted like a old school car, and like kind of like old school vibe of the video, but kind of keep it like modern a little bit at the same time. It was kind of challenging to like be the whole like creative mind behind that. Like he was telling me what he wanted, but I had to like create all of it like videography wise. So that was probably both the same, whether it's challenging but also kind of most rewarding, because I put a lot of time in that video. I didn't even feel justified like charging him for all the time that I put into it, just because I was out learning all the stuff for myself for the future. So I was learning like overlays and making it the film look kind of vintagey and
Sure.
all this stuff. And we were using the drone and trying to catch like him driving on the bridge over like on 2nd Street.
Oh yeah.
What's that bridge called again?
Oh, I have no idea. I know what you're talking about, but I have no idea what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah, that bridge.
Yeah.
And we were having to wait for cars and get people to look a certain way and like all that stuff. So it was fun. It was a little challenging, and it was kind of the most fulfilling so far, just because I learned so much from it. And it's usually how most things go in life. Most challenging things, I feel like, are the most rewarding in the end, because you learn the most.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that's one of those things where I think a lot of creatives can, whether it's design, photography, videography, whatever it may be, anybody who's a creative and who does has a creative business, I think they can probably relate to what you're saying, where you have to, when you have a client or someone that you're working with, it's incredibly challenging to try to work with someone and capture their vision and then put it to paper or put it to film, whatever it may be. and hopefully you're working with people that are easy to work with, but as you know, that's not always the case. And you get, I was talking to a person he's a designer, and he's like, man, sometimes you're dealing with people that are amazing, and you guys are on the same wavelength and everything. It's like you make the changes, or they have changes that, and you can, there's a flow to it. And then other times it's like, I don't think this person even knows what they want, because it's constant changes. And then it's, the polar opposite of what they said the first time. So,
and it's me too. Like,
sure.
do not be fooled by, this, talk. I am not a, I have not been doing this for a while. I haven't been, I don't consider myself to be like, amazing videographer or anything. I'm just really passionate about it. And I've been working at it for, about 2 or 3 years now. And actually, yeah, it's going on about 3.5 actually. Yeah, 3.5 years. And, but I just do it pretty much every week, whether it's, photo content or video content. So just keep working at it. And so yeah, it's also just me too. Like sometimes I'm just like stuck. I'm like, oh man, well, what, but yeah, so far I've had pretty cool clients, pretty cool collabs, and
That's awesome.
haven't run into too many issues so far.
That's awesome. What kind of, since I'm really interested in this because you're also an athlete. What do you do when you have some kind of creative block? Like when you have like a problem in front of you, or there's some vision that you're trying to create, but it's not coming to you. Like, what do you do to get past that? Like for me personally, I run or work out, and that helps kind of get the juices flowing, especially for this podcast. I've said it a million times on here. There's times where I'll have an issue I'm working through on this podcast, and I'll go for a 5-mile run, and then I'll come back and I'll start texting Deb, my co-host, and she's like, "You just ran, didn't you?" Like, yeah, I did. And now I have like 50 ideas. Sorry. So when
the juice is flowing again, that's cool.
Exactly. So when it comes to your creative process, like when do you feel most creative, and then how do you get past that creative block?
Yeah, I honestly love just going back and getting re-inspired by watching other creators and stuff. Like I love just going in, even like the stuff I did today, like watching someone, teach about the dolly zoom shot, or like show how they've used it in their work, and like just going back and watching other creators do cool work always inspires me. I love like diversifying it. One of the issues I ran into is like, as trying to set up my page like very business like now. Mm-hmm. Everyone's like, yeah, your work is cool and stuff, but I'm not really seeing a theme. And I think that's kind of what happens is like when I start getting too much of a theme, my creativity kind of like goes on the back burner. So interesting. When I can go back and diversify and check out like cool lighting shots and see people's drone work over here in this other country, and check out what someone did for this local like taqueria down the street or whatever. Like I love diversifying the content, and I think that's kind of what inspires me to and is the equivalent of you running, I believe, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
No, and real awesome. Quick, I don't think we can call me an athlete anymore, man. I don't know if that's not since high school basketball. I haven't really been, I try to lift here and there, but I don't know. I think that's a little too generous now.
Hey, I give that compliment to everybody that was an athlete. I feel like once an athlete, always an athlete. Even if the body doesn't want to cooperate, the mind is still in that space. Okay. So I'll give it to you, man. Sure. Yeah, it's cool. I think it was episode 3. We had a guy. His name is Zach Zlatic. He does some really cool video work. I would definitely recommend you checking him out. He's based out of Austin, Texas, and nice. He does some really cool stuff. And there's some people on Instagram too that I've found over the last few months. There's a guy, I forgot his name, but he basically does these shots with action figures, like toys.
Oh yeah.
And I think he was featured on SportsCenter a little while ago, but just creates these.
I've seen that.
Cool, yeah, I wish I could.
I saw that. Yeah,
plastic action.
He did like the whole. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. He did like the whole recreation of the D Wade alley-oop to LeBron through through the little plastic animations. Yeah.
It's
And he
crazy.
create them too. It's not like bought figurines or anything. He like creates everything.
Yeah, and he
I
sets them up,
believe so.
and he kind of shows the behind the scenes stuff, and it's like, oh, these are just toys that you would find at Target.
It's
And
awesome.
the way he sets them up, it looks super cinematic. It's pretty cool. There's another guy too. I think his name's Zach King. Does some pretty cool stuff on Instagram.
I
I
think
think
I follow him too. Yeah.
yeah, his stuff is like, I see some of his stuff like, oh, I couldn't even imagine trying to attempt something like this. This is like way beyond me. Um, it's the
Stuff
same
like
with
that. Yeah, like diversity with it. Like
yeah,
that's what kind of motivates me. Is if I just look at like wedding videos all day and try to do weddings, wedding shoots really often and frequent, I'm just like, okay, that's cool, but I need to like branch out and I need to do something else now.
yeah, for
That's what's
sure.
cool about like that whole field, is just being able to be creative and go, different directions with your creativity.
Right. Well, and now it can be anything from like a 15-second TikTok video to a 5 minutes, thing on YouTube, and like, or anything in between. It's like you can do pretty much whatever you want with video. It's pretty cool. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know if you're familiar with that band OK Go. Have you seen their music videos?
I don't think I have.
Man, you gotta, after we're done here,
Okay,
you need to
go.
check it out. Yeah, OK Go. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of their music. Like I'm not against their music. I just don't, I can't even tell you a song they have. But I came across their music videos. In fact, I believe this is like a long time ago, one of their first music videos where they were on, I think there's four guys and they're on treadmills. And they just keep like hopping, like jumping, doing like these different routines on the treadmills, and that's basically the whole music video. It was like a famous music video quite a while ago, but their stuff is insane. Like the first time I kind of became familiar with their videos it was a one shot video, and the set, I can't remember the name of the song, but the set they have is just insane. So many moving pieces, so many different elements to it. You need to
Joyner
check.
Lucas does that too.
Oh, I haven't seen much of Joyner Lucas's music
Joyner
videos.
Lucas has his famous one shot scenes. They're really cool.
What's
But
what's
isn't
what
that
song? Or has he done it multiple times? I need to check it out.
ADHD?
Oh,
ADHD.
ADHD. Okay.
And I know he does it for another one too. But I just want to circle back to what you said, and I think it's really cool how you're like, for the OK Go, like you couldn't tell me the name of the song, but obviously the videography inspired you and it hooked you, right? So that's
Yeah.
what's cool, I think, about that stuff. It's the visual and
Oh yeah.
how it goes with the song and stuff is definitely can capture and stay with somebody.
Oh, and it has for sure. Like I said, I just now I look for, when they drop a music video, because it's just, like I said, so crazy the way they do it. I mean, one of the last ones they did one of the last ones I saw was I want to say it was a it was a 4 second video, right? So the video comes on, it goes, and it's like, what just happened? And then they replay it, but they stretch it out to 4 minutes. And then you see
Wow.
everything, like how it's broken down. It's insane. Like the stuff they do. You
I
just
feel
need to
like
check
I
it
should
out.
know these people.
You
I
should.
feel like I
You
should.
should.
I feel like I should.
You need to check it out, because like I'm super impressed by the stuff that they do. It's super creative, and but yeah, I completely agree with you, man. It's a fun, cool element, and especially now, like everything is so visual, right? Like social media is a visual thing, and you can do a lot of amazing work in connections. I mean, that's why people pay so much for teams that come in for their marketing, right? And build out a 30-second commercial, because they know that kind of thing is going to have legs, and it's going to stick with people,
Gonna
like you said.
amplify your brand. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to get into music videos? Do you want to try to ever do a film of, like, what's your, like, what are some of like the dreams and goals that you have beyond, obviously the stuff that you're doing now?
Yeah, I love the creative side of music videos. I love, like, that, again, the diversity of what you could do with a music video. Like,
Mhm.
You range from being out in the countryside and doing a country song, and really working with the environmental, aspect of a video, or just, you can play with different timelines. You could be set back in, the 70s or early, like way earlier, or just so much creativity you can mess with music videos. I love, like, editing to music, actually. So that's even better for me. Like, for the videos I do now, I do a lot of like editing to music anyway. So whether it's weddings or whether it's content creation in general, I love like editing to beats and to songs and stuff like that. And that's why I pay a monthly fee to have a database of music, because I think that's just a huge part of content creation and videography is, music and the audio side of it as well. So but as far as like dream projects and direction, I don't think I would like really head toward, as much as I appreciate it, I don't think I'd really head towards music videos as like a focus. I really just love doing like adventure videography. Like my dreams, like if I'm dreaming the most, like my biggest dreams are like doing like shoots for different brands in different countries and being able to travel a lot. I really want to be able to, get out and travel a lot and see a lot of things and be inspired that way and be able to go to different places and help amplify brands around the world basically and shoot content for them. And especially if it can be, on the adventure side of things with, I'm looking forward to a shoot at the end of the month that involves like a jet ski and a sunset and just like adventure, cool adventure stuff. That's kind of what inspires me the most. But yeah, I definitely want to do like all types of things though. It's my views will probably change and my niche will probably, get change a little bit and over the years. But
Sure. That sounds awesome. What, sunset and jet skis? Like, what's better than that? It's the summertime. That's awesome.
And what's really cool is I have this GoPro. I have the GoPro like bubble now. So you put the bubble over the and so you can get like the above water and below water shot at the same time. And
I used to have
really forward. Oh, you did?
I
Nice.
did. Yeah, I didn't. If you look at some of my pictures, I clearly didn't know how to use it very well. Me and my brother love GoPros, man. I've been a GoPro fan for a long time. I probably don't use it to the best of its ability, but I love shooting with GoPros. But yeah, I love like when you can get creative with stuff like that. Which GoPro do you have?
I have the 8 Hero Black right now.
Yeah. Have you tried the Max or the anything like that? The 360?
No, I don't really use GoPro too much. I want to use it more. I want to like add it to the other elements of my videos, and especially if it's like adventure stuff. But I haven't really used them too much.
What do you use primarily when you shoot?
I use my Canon camera. I use drones. But yeah, it's a mixture. If there's anything like water wise, then I definitely use my GoPro. But primarily I use my Canon camera.
Have you crashed the drone before?
I have.
Oh,
and it survived.
Oh, it survived. There you go.
Yes.
That's got to be the worst. I've always wanted a drone, but there's a part of me, like there's one side it's like it's a lot of money and I don't trust myself. You know what I mean? Because I know myself. I know it would crash. But so what, like when you crash, what happened?
Yeah, it's the environment was, suicide prevention awareness walk at Sac State.
Okay.
And I had put so much work into that.
Yeah.
And everyone's all there, all solemn and all, respectful. And I'm over here trying to fly my drone to capture it. And all of a sudden it just goes into the gym wall and everyone's like, oh, horrible. Everyone, and you know how I did that?
How's
I
that?
was looking at this cute dog. A cute dog distracted me. So
jeez.
Thanks a lot.
Dog.
And then someone caught it too. Someone was watching me because they were just like checking it out, and then they saw what happened, and someone said really loud. I don't know who it was. Someone said really loud in the crowd. So it happens for the dog distraction. That's what you call a dog distraction or something like that. Really loud, and just put me on the spot. And I was already upset. I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be. But yeah, so it hit the wall of the gym, but then it fell to the awning that was above the doors. So
Oh, okay.
somehow
That's lucky.
I
Man.
was so scared, man. I had just bought it too. I especially back then, money was really tight for me, and I was like, I just invested in this thing. I just spent a lot of money on this, and it's gonna be gone already. I didn't get
Right.
any insurance on it or anything, so I was
Oh,
just like, but thank goodness I still have it. So
and there's nothing you can, I mean, especially depending on how far you are from it, there's nothing you can do. Like you're watching that thing drop and you're just watching like just cash fall from the sky. Dang, that would be brutal. That actually, when I was so when my wife and I got married, the guys who were doing the videography, they brought a drone, and so before the wedding, we're doing all the pictures and stuff like that, and so everybody's in the bridesmaids, groomsmen, all together taking pictures, smiling, and all of a sudden you hear like, what was that? And they ran it into a tree and it was just crashing
no.
through the branches. They did not save it. And you just saw this pile of plastic and metal. Like, oh, like it hurt.
That's
It was an exciting day for me, obviously, but I felt for those guys. I'm
I
like,
heard you, huh?
that hurts me. Like, I'm sorry that you guys did that. Yeah, but I'll never forget that sound. It's like, that's a horrible sound. Are they doing yard work today?
Yeah.
Oh no, someone just destroyed their drone. Just
And it's
dropped.
real crazy when it gets caught in hair. That's the most horrible. When
No, hold on.
when the
What?
I
Cotton
saw
someone's
this
hair?
test video of someone like I don't know if it was like officially for Amazon or something, but it was like delivering an Amazon package. Maybe it was just like for content, but
Sure.
someone was trying to like deliver a package with a drone, and she like reaches out to grab the package, and the blades just like get caught in her because the wind blows her hair towards the drone, and oh man, where were we? I apologize. That was me that time. My phone died.
No, it's all good, man. Like I said, everybody, please don't share this episode with Deb because I will never hear the end of this one. She's like, yeah,
You ain't seen nothing, Deb.
Thank you. See, here's what happens. Usually I take these opportunities to make fun of her for not showing up or not being able to make it. I can't even do that today because so many things have gone wrong. She's just like, oh yeah, that's interesting. I have a list of 5 things that went wrong during this podcast. Where do you want me to start? Like she could just roast me on all those things. So you win this time, Deb. You win this time. So
sorry, that had to be on account of me.
That's okay. Hey, worse things have happened, believe it or not. So I'm just happy you showed up, man. Sometimes we've had people just not show up, and that drives me crazy. I hate when that happens, but that's all right. We don't need to go into that. So I don't know where we left off. But
we're talking about drones and hair.
Well, that's right. You said, and the lady got her hair stuck in the drone.
Yeah, and then once it gets stuck in the drone, it like finds its way to your head. So the video cut off, so I didn't get to see what the damage was, but I can imagine it was crazy because those blades get caught up in.
Yeah, well, and like you said, it's a great point because it's going to pull the drone into her, and then the other blades are just going to smack her in the face. Yeah, not a fun situation. That's why I keep my hair short. I don't have to worry about fans. I don't have to worry about people yanking on my hair. It's just safer that way. So
good strategy.
Yeah. So do you remember? I remember when like being a big fan of GoPros. I remember when GoPro first came out with their drone, and I think maybe like a month after they released it, there was all these YouTube videos. It's like, oh, this thing sucks. This is an awful drone, and you would just see these videos of the drone just falling from the sky. It's like, oh, I thought about getting one, but maybe this is not the best brand. Maybe going with like a Phantom as like a more established brand is a better way to go.
DJI.
Yeah. So that being said, I still don't have a drone. I actually have something called an Air Video, which is like it's almost like one of those vortex footballs, and it's got the fin. But what you do, it's like this big, and you put the GoPro inside, and then you throw it up.
You have that?
I have that. Yeah,
I was going to get one of those too.
They're fun, man. I was
looking at that.
Yeah, especially when I'm with my brothers, you start getting a little bit reckless because they're like, yeah, really, like you don't want it to crash the ground, use it in like water or sand, don't let it hit at an angle. Like I'm like, oh, that's cool. And then of course, like, hey, we're at the beach, like, hey, what if we threw it off the cliff? You can catch it, right? Like, sure, I can catch it. And then it comes crashing down on the ground and the fin breaks and I'm duct taping it. So it's fun though. It's based out of the Netherlands, I think, that company.
Yeah, I was looking at, I think when I was looking to try to buy one. I was real close to buying one, but actually, I think they sell some of the parts out of like Germany, Germany, Netherlands. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's
I
a
was
lot
trying
of
to
fun,
convert
man.
the money. I was trying to convert the dollar. I was like, oh, okay, well, hold on. How much is this really? Because
Yeah. I did the same thing. I was like, I don't want to like I can spend that much. And then, like I said, the first day I used it, the fin broke off. So I'm trying to, be better. But every time I buy a new one or I buy the replacement parts, I just can't help myself. And you know what I'm saying? Like you see a creative shot, it's like, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And it's like, it'll be fine. I'll catch it. And then, then I don't. So that goes back to maybe me being not being the same athlete I used to be. My hand-eye coordination is not as tight as it once was because, obviously I have all these broken air parts now.
Hey, go do some wall sits, man. You'll get right.
I tried doing some wall sits the other day. I'm like, whew. What was I thinking? I definitely prefer being on the speaking side of the wall sits and not on the wall itself. That's still so crazy, man. I was actually gonna when the call dropped, I was actually gonna send a message to Coach Clark. I'll have to do it later, but anyways, yeah. So one of my last questions, man. I've this one question and then the question we always wrap up with, but something that I saw on your social media, I can't remember if it was your personal social media or your business social media. You say immortalizing memories. And I think that's a cool thing. It's a cool way of putting what you do. But can you explain a little bit? Because I think it's a really, from how I understand what you're saying, it's a really cool way of looking at what you do and what you're doing for other people. But like, what was your mentality when you write that? And what's your mentality when you go out and do these shoots for people?
Yeah, that's a good question. That came to be out of just me like really trying to find my priorities, I guess, and look into more specifically why I do what I do. And I was trying to figure out, people were saying like why they love their craft so much and that stuff. And I was just like, I just like to sit and think. I do a lot of thinking, and I just thought to myself, like, why? I know I love it, but why do I, I was trying to figure out why I love it. And I was like, isn't it such a like cool and underrated thing that you can capture, a moment in time, and I think it's, not to sound corny or anything, but like, I think that's just a, underrated thing now that, everyone has a camera, everyone has like a phone and stuff, but, like I think it's just so cool how you can like capture a positive memory in time. You can take someone's happiest memories and you can, create that moment for them. You can immortalize it with a creative video or some photos. And I just think that's really cool. And so I wrote like, I was trying to find actually a name for my business that wasn't just my name. And I was like, immortalizing memories. I think that's kind of cool, but
yeah,
I don't know if I'm going to lean that direction, but for sure I keep that in the back of my mind to remind myself just, I think how important the work that I'm doing is and how cool it is and how, underrated it is to be able to immortalize someone's memories.
Oh, absolutely, man. And that's this is called Connectable because we want to connect people, whether it's someone here in Sacramento with other people in Sacramento, or someone here in Sacramento that's listening that's all the way, with a guest that's all the way across the states, or even we had someone from Canada as well. And the whole idea is getting people connected. And I think what you do and what you do for people is connecting people, right? Like it's connecting people to a specific moment in time, like you said, immortalizing memories for them. Like it's great, you can tell stories and word of mouth, you can share those stories with people and how you remember it. But then just like we talked about earlier with music videos and commercials, how that imagery helps someone connect with that product or that thing even more. It's the same thing. Like you can tell all these stories you want, but if you're telling that story and you can actually hand someone a picture or show someone a video of that moment, it just adds even more texture to what they're saying. And I think it's a really cool thing. So it's, again, going back to this idea of connection, you're helping them connect with something in a way more personal way, which I think is pretty cool.
You worded that very well. I think you're
well, thank you.
doing
I tried.
a really good, like you were meant to be a podcaster. I think you're meant to, I think you communicate very well. So
Thank you, sir. We need to wrap this up before I cry. This is very touching. I'm gonna take this. I'm gonna tell my wife what you said too. It's like, what this dude said? This other guy, Josh, awesome name. He said these very nice things about me, and she's like, "That's cool." I
mean it though.
Appreciate
that's
that, man.
something I feel like I kind of struggle with, and I'm working really hard to towards just trying to do stuff like this, be able to communicate my ideas a little more fluidly. But definitely have work to do with it. But it's cool to see you being able to just communicate your thoughts so fluidly, and I think that's cool. Well, how long have you been doing this Connectable podcast?
So Connectable is still pretty new. I mean, this will be episode 33. We'll release it. Today's the July 2nd. We'll release it next week. But we started in December. So it was not very long at all. We've been doing this podcast for a little bit. And, as everybody knows, we did the Character Combine podcast for about 2 years. And that was awesome. Obviously connected with some really awesome people. Did an episode with Coach Clark, which was cool. And a bunch of other awesome coaches and athletes and motivational speakers and everything in between. So we got started doing that, and, we're not doing that one anymore. But like I said, there's I'm in the works of starting something else in a similar lane, sports and all that stuff. So definitely want you on that one, man. And then we can talk more about sports, and specifically sports and your how it's affected, talk about your mentality and stuff like that. I think that'd be a cool thing for sure. We can talk more about the wall sits too, and maybe I'm starting to wonder if you wouldn't have come on this podcast if you knew it was me. It's like, oh, it's that guy, that clown that made us do wall sits for 25 minutes. You guys, just so everybody knows, I believe you guys did it for 26 minutes. If 26 or 27 minutes.
I think he did it for 26. I think I did it for 22. I remember.
Yeah. It's funny too. I have that picture pops up on my memories every once in a while. Every year that comes up. So I need to find that, and maybe I'll post it before we post this podcast. That'd be cool. Sure. I need to find you in the picture now, man. I need to find you in the picture. Okay. So before we get out of here, man, this has been a lot of fun. I appreciate it, and I appreciate your willingness to persevere through all this crap that we've been dealing with.
Oh yeah.
But it was fun. And it makes sense too. Of course, I'm going to have to do more editing on the one with the videographer. It makes sense. By the way,
practice that dolly zoom.
that will never happen. I'm not that talented. It's funny. I don't even want to tell you this, but so for Character Combine, when I was working for Character Combine, now with the podcast, it was more of a volunteer thing. I wasn't working for them, but when I was working for them, obviously when I spoke to you guys, and then when we were doing the big events and all that, they would ask me to cut promo videos and cut little short clips of videos after the event. And in the moment you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing. I had to learn that stuff. It's very super basic editing, nothing even close to what you do. There's probably so many things that I do wrong that you're like, man, it's gonna be 1,000 times better. But it's basically just cut and move some stuff around. But I remember thinking some of that stuff this is pretty cool. Actually, I think I did a pretty good job with this. Super simple. And then you throw it out there on YouTube, and then you start getting the comments. I'm like, oh, you didn't need to say that. You didn't need to make fun of the music I chose. But it's an interesting thing.
Always will be haters, man.
Always haters. Which looking back, I'm like, you were right. I'm not saying you guys are wrong about the hate you're throwing my way. But it's interesting how much the video and stuff has changed too. And it's also funny, a lot of those videos people are like, that was an amazing video, did you do that? Kind of. I went to Fiverr, and I definitely got some things to hype up the video a little bit. And it was this robotic arm with the logo. It's did you create that? No, I bought it for $5.
Oh yeah. You like it?
I tried, and one guy's like, no, I've done that stuff before. You definitely didn't do that. Yeah, you're right. I definitely didn't do that. I bought it. So,
well, I'm gonna say your lighting and your little setup and everything, it looks pretty cool. I was actually pretty disappointed because I just moved. So I just moved in the Thomas area, and I back in my old place, I had my whole setup. I had my my desk and everything, but here I'm still working to get everything set up. So I was like, man, I have my lights and stuff, but it's not anything near like what I wanted to portray as a videographer. So I was like, well, I'm glad you're giving me a informal invite to another one so that I can, show you a little what I could do and have a better setup for you and have a better visual for you instead of this wall here.
Absolutely, man. Hey, man, when you're back on, I expect like the full setup.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's
nice.
mine. I have a book. We have some, books and stuff like that. But then we have kids' toys back here too. So that's why I have to like really puff out my chest and make my shoulders big so you can't see what's behind me. It's wild back there. But
your lighting is good. Your lighting is good. You have like contrast and everything, and you're doing good.
Thank you, man. He is trying to make me cry. We need to get out of this podcast. So, hey, man, before we get out of here, the last question we have for you is what we like to call our connection suggestion. As everybody knows, it's either a brand, organization, a person, a place, anything that you can recommend, one or two things that you might recommend for us to follow and things that we should be aware of. So what connection suggestions do you have for us before we get out of here?
Ooh, okay. Should go follow Josh S. Media.
Yes. That'd be good. We'll get to that.
Just kidding. Man, it's a good question. You kind of stumped me a little bit there.
Yeah, we need to start.
As far as like brands or like other people in the videography world, or what are we? Something like that.
Anything. It could be a restaurant that you love. It could be an organization. I mean, it could be really whatever you want. Like I'll say this, like a couple weeks ago, I recommended people following Dwight. I said, hey, he'd be a great guy to follow for some motivation. In the past we've recommended like my favorite Mexican restaurant or that donut Bad Bakers. Like we've recommended anything. So it really could be anything that you want, whether it's a local or maybe it's a more national brand, something that you feel, like I said, that would benefit our audience.
Yeah, I think that's cool that you guys do that, first of all. But it's funny you brought up Bad Bakers. I like know all the videographers and the content creators that do like social media for them and do a lot of like social media and content creation for like smaller businesses in Sacramento. So
they do a great job.
You said that. Yeah, you should go follow some of them. I think I'm actually meeting with one of them right after this. Actually, my friend Richie. Him and I know like do you know Veer? He does the does the social media for Bad Bakers. Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Know him personally, but we've been following his stuff for a while. Yeah, he has amazing stuff.
Yeah, and his story is awesome too. He came from the Philippines, like came here in flip flops and just invested in a low camera and hasn't looked back. So his story always inspires me. You should check out him for sure.
Awesome.
As far as like you said, a food.
If you want, it doesn't have to be, but if you, yeah, it's up to you.
I'm almost wanting to like restart and like answer like later once I like have a better answer, just because I know there's tons of things I'd like to shout out, but I'm like stumped right now. So
no, it's all good, man. Like I said, that's a question that I feel like I should give people ahead of time, and I always forget. They're like, why didn't you ask me this sooner? I'm like, I forgot. We were dealing with technical issues. I had spit up on me. There was a lot going on before this podcast. So
a lot going on tonight.
Yeah, but no, those are like the two that you suggested. I think Richie, I think we follow him as well, especially on this podcast. Like we're trying to follow just a bunch of creative, people who are doing a lot of dope stuff. Yeah. So I'm sure that's like sometimes I surprise myself. Someone's like, "Hey, you should follow this person." I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." And then I go to follow and say, "Oh, we've been following them." Had no clue. So yeah, those are great, man. I think those are great suggestions. And okay, so now where can everybody follow you and keep up with all of your stuff? Websites, social media, all that stuff, YouTube.
Yeah. Right now, everything is kind of just out of my creative Instagram. I have my main Instagram, but I do all like my photo and videography business out of the Josh S Media or Josh S_media. That's kind of what I've been doing so far. I'm looking into getting more, like I said, on the business, and going with immortalizing memories as my as my a business if it's not taken already. It probably is, but yeah, that's looking into website possibilities and stuff like that. But for now, yeah, just my Josh S _media page.
Awesome. Sounds good. And if anybody's listening to this and you like that name, Immortalizing Memories, don't be a douche. Don't take it.
Come on,
Don't take it.
It's probably already taken, but
yeah,
if
it's not taken,
leave it for me, please.
Leave it. Don't, come on. We're trying to connect with people, not, we're not trying to crush dreams. So leave it alone, people. Awesome, man. Well, this has been a lot of fun. We would definitely love to have you back on in the future. And like I said, we'll definitely connect on a sports podcast as well. So I can pick your brain on that. But
yeah, I've had a lot of fun. Thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for reaching out. And like you said, navigating through all our technical difficulties tonight.
We made it. But yeah, no, man, I appreciate it. We definitely appreciate what you're doing and how you're helping the community and helping people around you and helping people I guess create the vision that they have for whatever they're trying to accomplish. And like, we just appreciate that. I'm a big fan of people who are doing creative things. So it's been fun following you, man, and hopefully this is just the start of us continuing to follow you and build with you. So we're excited, man, and keep up the great work.
Likewise. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.